Greetings, folks. This is Shadab Hussain here, co host of the AI Files. Today, I'm going to do the episode alone because my partner, Jamie Basilico, he's actually out sick. So he's taking some time to recover. It was also a holiday week, so some personal travels involved. So hopefully, Jamie will be back for the next episode soon. But meantime, we actually did not do an episode last weekend, a week ago. So we're going to do a bridge episode because we have a lot to talk about from the Ignite, which we did not talk about yet. But we will catch up soon. But I want to do this quick bridge episode. We'll just talk about the latest news and launches so that you all are caught up. Let's talk about that, and then we'll do the detailed Ignite announcements in the next episode. Okay, so let's start the new section. So Meta hires Salesforce's CEO of AI, Clara Shea, to lead new business AI group or businesses that Meta the apps. It reach out to the businesses to sell different services. Specifically, Meta's new group will offer AI products made with Llama to the millions of businesses advertising and creating content on the Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Now, Meta has recently, also there was actually a pretty detailed article written on Fortune about how Meta has built the entire company around Llama, and Llama is really now empowering Meta in everything, right? So, and being a content platform company, the language models are obviously extremely relevant to them. So, and however, they can only make money by selling the ads or the business services. And Meta does a pretty good job at actually monetizing that. So Clara, she will be in charge of the business services. So she will be leading the business AI group, leveraging the AI and enhancing the business revenue. In the other news, Amazon actually announced another $4 billion investment in the AI startup Anthropic. It announced that the Anthropic said it was working with Amazon on its Neuron software, which offers a crucial connective tissue between the chip and the AI models. This competes with NVIDIA's CUDA software stack. CUDA is actually a very popular software stack for the AI and managing the GPUs and for the AI training. And NVIDIA had a decade long head start on the CUDA, right? So it's a very popular one, well established. Neuron is, of course, rather new one, fresh from Amazon, but Anthropic will be actually using it. So it's kind of a win-win because Amazon will get a customer like Anthropic to actually use those software, not just the software. NVIDIA will also use Amazon's chips like the Trainium and Inferentia chips, which are for the training and inference tasks, purposefully built. They built that in the 2020. And that's how actually, so it's kind of similar model what Microsoft has it, although Microsoft wasn't using their own chips, but rather having NVIDIA's chips for the OpenAI computing purpose. And that's how that investment was. So it's a very similar model to that. Anthropic, they actually says we use NVIDIA, but we also use custom chips. Different chips have different trade-offs. I think we're getting value from all of them. That was their statement. They have generally preferred NVIDIA, but I think now they're ready to take a leap and go with Amazon's own chips and see. We'll see how that results turn out to be. One thing I want to tell you is that Amazon has actually clawed its way back, pun intended, into the AI race with the investment in the Claude, or rather Anthropic. So the thing is that, like almost a year ago, Amazon was somewhere not to be seen, right? It was the race between OpenAI's and Microsoft against Google and DeepMind. And suddenly, even like Databricks, they had their own models, they had their own strategy, and it seemed like Amazon is nowhere. They were completely out of place in this race. But I think they have, as I said, found their way back with this investment. even though Anthropic has investment from Google as well. And you can actually, it's not an exclusive partnership. So you can actually find the Anthropic's Claude APIs available in Amazon's Bedrock as well as Google's Vertex. And you can also directly use their API as well. So it's a little bit different than the OpenAI, which has an exclusive partnership with Microsoft. So you can only use it that in the Azure or directly. I would say Amazon has done a good job at finding its place back into the AI race with the Anthropic. Even though it's not an exclusive one, it still gives them something to actually go and offer the customer because their own chips wasn't that great, I would say, right? Um, Anyway, next news, the OpenAI's ambitious user growth plan. So OpenAI has announced a strategic initiative to expand its user base to 1 billion within the next year. This goal leverages the success of its ChatGPT chatbot, of course, which currently boasts about 250 million weekly users. And the company plans to introduce new AI products, establish dedicated data centers, and collaborate with partners like Apple to achieve this expansion. And remember, you need the platform. It's all about the distribution. You need the platforms to be able to access. And that's where Apple excel because they have the access, they have the platform. Whatever they launch is easy. You just need to roll it out and people will start using it. Same is the situation with the Meta. They have their own platform, although they have had in the past struggled with Apple because ultimately those apps also need to sit on somewhere on the platform. So that dependency they have very well realized. Mark Zuckerberg actually admits that. Same with Google. So Google actually not just they also did their own Chromebooks and they have their own browser because they realized that they are going after the interfaces and that's why they also launched their Android. So it's all about the distribution and the platform. OpenAI also we have heard that they actually plan to create their own browser. They are also actually coming up with something called operator. That's a rumor mill, that they will come up with something called operator, which is like computer used by Anthropic, and it would allow you to control the agent and build the agent and actually essentially control your computer through those. So OpenAI is going, of course, very aggressive. uh, they also have actually a lot of political pressure, right, from Elon Musk, for example, who wants to actually prevent OpenAI and the other named defendants, including Microsoft, from engaging in what Musk counsel claim is anti-competitive behavior. The allegations include discouraging investors from backing OpenAI rivals like Musk's own AI company XAI. Yeah, we heard about that, in the latest round that there was probably some condition put forth that, the investors should not try to ride two boats and invest in OpenAI as well as also in the XAI and the super safe intelligence, which is launched by Ilya. So I think we've heard about it. Don't know if that is entirely true, but looks like that is being referred to. The allegation also include benefiting from wrongfully obtained comparatively sensitive information through OpenAI's connections with Microsoft. Also converting OpenAI's governance structure to a for-profit and transferring any material assets, including intellectual property owned, held, or controlled by OpenAI Inc., its subsidiaries or affiliates. And the final one is causing OpenAI to do business with organizations in which any defendant has a material financial interest. Now, remember, OpenAI launched in 2015 as a nonprofit and in 2019 converted into a capped profit, in which the nonprofit was made the governing entity for a for profit subsidiary. So, nonprofit actually governed the for profit, but that for profit was also capped. The company is now in the process of converting into a fully for profit corporation that would reportedly allow OpenAI to retain its non-profit status as a separate entity. The startup closed $5 billion round very recently with participation from investors, including Andreessen Horowitz and Fidelity. This I'm talking about the XAI with around $11 billion in the um, bank. XAI is already one of the best funded AI companies in the world. So it's not that Musk has a lot of trouble raising the money. Musk does like to be in the news, And like this is, I think it is a something of a um, Musk's own wound, that he missed the opportunity with OpenAI. He had invested early, he was one of the early investor, and then he actually pulled out, and he did not align on the approach, and then he pulled out, leaving them nowhere to go but to Microsoft and others, essentially. Anyway, the other news, addressing the slowdown in the AI advancements. There has been a lot of talk over the last few weeks about how the AI is slowing down. Although there have been a lot of counter response, whether it was Sam Altman's famous tweet like "there is no wall," same with from Anthropic and others. They all have said that no, we are not hitting anywhere close to the wall. But the to overcome those hurdles, because ultimately there will be some sort of limitation that companies will start running into, which is not a big deal in any scientific endeavor. You will start running into limits, but then you overcome those through some new innovative technology, etc. That's what is happening with the Moore's law as well, for example. It seems like, okay, Moore's law is going to fail, but then some other innovative technology come up, and then that computing actually continues to grow. So same thing is going to happen, I'm pretty sure. Obviously, it will take, however, different approaches. The current approach may not be suitable, so that would mean that the computing needs has to change, the data, right? So data is also going to run out at some point, because you've already used a lot of data. Now you have to generate synthetic data, and synthetic data comes with its own risk. Now you're essentially running into what is called model collapse, where you are actually feeding its own data that it created back into it for the training, right? So that kind of like inbreeding. So those kind of issues do happen, but there are always going to be, it will be interesting what new other innovations, etc., that will come up and overcome those barriers. In the other news, there is a lot of actually innovations going on in the academy as well. There was actually an event called MIT Ignite that was hosted, and they were actually looking for Gen AI entrepreneurship competition. And over 100 teams of students and postdocs submitted proposals for startups utilizing generative AI technology. So that was specifically focused on the Gen AI, and of course 100. So that's really good, because that just tells that, okay, there's so much entrepreneurship and initiatives that will continue to happen in the Gen AI space. The solution spanned actually diverse disciplines, including human health, climate change, education, workforce dynamics, etc. Um, and 12 finalists actually pitched their ideas to a panel of expert judges, showcasing their potential of Gen AI in addressing complex global challenges. And honestly, that is the thing. Putting these things together, if you realize that, I'll tell you that even if these AI models have, let's say, run out of the potential of improvement, and we just get stuck where we are, let's say we stagnate ourselves in terms of the technology, where we are today, we can actually solve still a ton of things. We still have another 5 or 10 years of continuously using the existing technology just to transform our corporate landscape, our community landscape, our own career, everything. The technology is, we're just barely scratching the surface. The technology is far ahead of its use cases being applied. So the corporate has actually a lot to catch up already. So I'm not too worried about the technological advances. If the next version of GPT does not come, do you think that everything is stops there? No. The GPT-4 can carry you forward for another 5 years. There's just so much you can do with the GPT-4. So really, sky's the limit. Let's talk about some of the launches. GoDaddy's, actually, they provide the services for the hosting, particularly for the small and medium businesses. And they are actually using the new tools like Airo, which offers generative design capabilities, allowing users to create logos and full site designs with ease, etc. as well. So, in fact, I do use GoDaddy actually for some of the hosting, um, and it's one of the most popular website for the web hosting. So you can see that Gen AI and AI really cuts into every discipline, every business, every person will find a way that they can use it, and that's really the potential. That's what I'm talking about, that even if the technology stagnates, you can continue to have the innovations in your space for next 5 years. And another news of the launch, you can now tailor Anthropic Claude's response to your personal style. There are lots of styles that actually now Claude allows. So you can actually choose things like, you can say that, okay, make the style from the choices of like formal, concise, or explanatory to suit different communication preferences. So these are like preset options that you can choose from, and then accordingly it will generate the response in those styles. You can also actually generate custom style. What you can do is you can upload the sample content or specify instructions to create custom style that reflect your preferred way of communicating. And then that can become a template, and then you can actually generate accordingly any output that you want to generate in those styles. So it will look more personal, right? It will look more authentic in your own style of communication. The another reasoning models, a couple of actually new models that came out from Chinese companies. So one of them was DeepSeek R1, and they launched actually a couple of models. These are based on chain of thought, so they are more comparable to the O1 from OpenAI. Nobody else has those kind of models. But they also can do a lot of general stuff as well, which so they can also compete against the GPTs and the Claudes, like the Anthropics models as well. And that kind of really highlight that how far the Chinese AI landscape has actually come about. In fact, it is now estimated that the Chinese companies, the gap between them and the American companies has shrunk to just about 6 to 12 months. That's a lot less where it was earlier, which was estimated at 2 to 3 years. And this is particularly striking because there have been a lot of efforts from the US side to actually restrict the exports on the advanced AI chips, for example, such as GPUs, to China towards slowing their advancements. Remember, AI is actually weaponized. So AI is going to be a platform for the supremacy in the world. And so a lot of big countries, a lot of big powers are going to compete on that. The There was another actually model that also came out from the Alibaba stable, and they have something called Quen. So Quen 2.5 is also actually launched. They also launched QWQ 32 billion preview, and that's also similar to the O1, much smaller, but much better in terms of the reasoning. So you can try these models. Actually, they are available online. You can play with it. You can throw the problem to both the O1 and let's say, for example, DeepSeek R1, and then you can judge for yourself. I think they're pretty good. Um, the sometimes the style could be different, but also remember, China also has a huge market of local language. A lot of work still happens in the Chinese language. Of course, these models are really, really good in the local Chinese language compared to the other models, let's say from the OpenAI. So they already have a big market. They don't need to really compete in the US market. It's more of a showcasing their capability, but they can really compete within the China, which itself is a huge market. Okay. As I said, that there are tons of news that came out of the Microsoft Ignite, which happened a couple of weeks ago. And we would love to actually talk a lot more. But once Jamie is back, we will do actually more detailed and dedicated episode on the Microsoft Ignite's announcement. For now, I just wanted to actually help you all catch up on the AI news and launches which happened over the last 2 weeks. Okay. And see you soon. Don't forget to share, subscribe, and like. Bye, everyone.